What's going on, everybody? My name is Jack Kelly, host of Point to the Spot, a U.S.-based podcast focused on the world of football. Joining me today, as always, is not my entirely bonkers friend Reed Hammond, but a future presidential candidate, Ball for Prez 2020, I Can't Stand Donald Trump's America, Andrew Paul. Andrew, my good friend, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm very good. I'm back east. So this means the podcast once again spans multiple time zones.
Celebrating the victory of Christos FC, your local side down there from Maryland Major League Soccer.
Yeah, really. A pub team based out of a discount liquor store that somehow managed to win the Amateur Cup, Open Cup last year and beat Richmond Kickers last night. It was good. Good night.
Who is a full professionals team.
Yes, USL team.
With that in mind, we should note that tonight it is Point to the Spot's preferred two-man booth. No, no, I'm just kidding, Reed. I know you're going to be listening. We do love you. No Reed Hammond on the podcast tonight. He is busy preparing himself mentally, physically, for a trip this weekend. We're not going to disclaim any more details than that. But Reed should have some witty banter to share with us upon his return to the podcast on Sunday. This episode is going to be going out a little bit late. You're not going to be hearing about it until Friday. That's okay. Nothing too timely to talk about today. Andrew and I, as we often do when it's the two-man booth, we're just gonna have a chat about football.
I love it. What should we chat about, Jack?
I'm thinking we've spent so much time focused across the pond on good old mother, on England. And the Premier League is winding down. And that's been the main focus of our podcast for, 6 months.
But you know what that means, my man. American soccer, just like the barbecue grills, just like the weather here in Baltimore where it was 95 degrees today. American soccer is heating up.
It is indeed. And for those of you that don't really follow American soccer, A, if you're American, shame on you. B, if you're English, can't really blame you. MLS is fun to bet on, though, because the games are unpredictable, and it's always a good return. C, MLS, if you're American, don't follow MLS.
It's like a terrible life decision.
Hey, it's good returns, and it's usually pretty low stakes.
Well, that's fair. But the fact that Philadelphia Union, who have been so bad, got their third straight win over the Houston Dynamo, who have been so good on Wednesday.
Hey, that shaky back line. Cubo Torres couldn't save them.
Reed said Houston would be the worst team in MLS history.
I think I was also among. I thought Minnesota would be worse, which they are, but I thought Houston was going to be bad, like bottom of the Western Conference.
This is also true.
I was wrong. One thing that is going on in U.S. soccer that's fun and exciting to talk about, and I feel like is ignored a little bit, on a fairly regular basis, is not really taken all too seriously. It's the oldest and most consistent competition for American soccer. That's the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Of course, this is the American equivalent of the FA Cup over there in England. And it's an interesting dynamic the way they do it. There's tons of qualifying rounds, just like there are in the FA Cup. But it's a certain dynamic that we don't quite see in England. I know that, we had the Suttons and the United and the Lincoln Cities this year who make it a long way, which is fun. But even a fifth division non-league side like Lincoln and like Sutton have real stadiums and real supporters groups and lots of funding to go. They may not pay their players full time, but funding to go into a stadium like that. And that's something that we don't see too much, as we heard about when we spoke with our friends Steve, when we spoke with Steve from Non-League America way back when. But amateur soccer, especially in the U.S. Open Cup, is awesome. As we mentioned, the aforementioned Christos FC played the Richmond Kickers. So we have a team from Maryland, completely amateur. They play in the Maryland Major League Soccer league.
Which I'm told from doing a little research in the past on this league, because I'm bored and want to go to soccer games. So I was like, well, where can I go see? It's actually some pretty high quality soccer, but it is still amateur.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But, I mean, it's pretty damn remarkable that they don't even train, is what I think we've come to the conclusion on. And they knocked off the Richmond Kickers, who, for many seasons in the former and current USL, have been a pretty competitive professional side. Made it very far in the USL playoffs last season. I think or maybe it was 2 seasons ago, they lost it to Rochester Rhinos to actually go to the USL Cup final. But I mean, this is like a much bigger deal than people think, because Richmond is, USL's Division II. Teams from the championship don't just lose to amateur sides in England. Excuse me. I think that this is partly what makes the Open Cup so much fun. I mean, you think back to when it was, the ethnic clubs, whether it was like, the Serbians, or they had the New York, what was it? The New York Italians, or whatever they were. Like, these were competitive, fun teams that, I mean, I'm pretty sure one of the ethnic clubs won the Open Cup like 9 times as the winningest club in history. I mean, this stuff is fun, and like almost the like low production quality online streams varies from club to club. Like, I think it almost makes it better. Do you like watching these amateur clubs take on pros? I mean, this is a dynamic you don't get to see in major televised and major followed leagues or countries around the world.
Absolutely. And certainly in American soccer or in American sports, where like, you don't have the Delmarva Shorebirds single A baseball team playing the New York Yankees in any sort of competition. It's certainly unique. And you see, like, last night the Michigan Bucks beat Indy 11 in literally like a warehouse, like, practice facility, indoor turf field. And like someone tweeted, like, this is peak US Open Cup. And it is. It's about these fun narratives of teams that, unless you are a really, really hardcore American soccer fan, which the show is, because we've had Non-League America on, you've never heard of most of these teams, and yet they pop up and they have success. And it's fun to see. And also I think that, you look at what like makes soccer unique in the American sports landscape. It's things like this where, it's passion for these small clubs. And these small clubs, going up against. It's so tough to weigh like the difference between a NPSL team and a USL team. Like, is that like a League 2 team against a championship team? Like, how do you, in terms of the talent gaps, how do you weigh that? And like, I think it's even more of a difference in the US, because from below NASL and USL, these are all amateurs. They're all college kids, or they're all guys who are maybe getting paid but are not of the level that would be playing in the league pyramid in the US. What pyramid does exist? So, whereas in England, when you have like, whoever, even like Sutton playing in the FA Cup, like, they're professionals, even though they're non-league. So, that just makes the storylines even richer when you get a team like Christos, or even like Michigan Bucks, who are all, college kids, and go out and they can hang with the big boys. So that's the long way of saying, like, when you look at what makes soccer unique in America and like what you kind of want to market and like promote, ironically, it's the US Open Cup that gets kind of shunted off to the side. But I think that, like, in terms of the qualities that you want to promote to the larger sporting world, that's something that's really cool. And that's something that we only really have here, where you get these like, crazy scenarios. Just something that I think is very unique to this competition, and pretty cool to look at. But Jack, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the Open Cup.
Well, my favorite thing about the Open Cup, right, is that, like, not only, I think, oftentimes Americans are just dragged on for soccer culture, right? My favorite thing about the Open Cup is that it really shows soccer culture here in the United States. Like, Okay, and like the names of the clubs are pretty fun. But like the Carolina Dynamo from Premier Developmental League from PDL, scoring off against North Carolina FC, the NASL. They may have gotten thrashed 6-1 by the professional side, but like they got supporters to turn out in decent sized groups to go watch this game, or like when you get the Charlotte Eagles of the PDL playing against the Independents of the USL, stuff like that. I mean, like you get clubs like Tartan Devils Oak Avalon facing off against Louisville City Football Club. I mean, they might have gotten their asses kicked 9-0 against a professional team. Granted, Louisville City is one of the better USL teams. But it's just fun. Like, I mean, natural rivalries like this do not really exist in Major League Soccer. A little bit more in the USL, a little bit more in NASL, but in MLS, like they just really don't exist. I mean, you have even the New York Derby is it's artificial.
New
It's
York
not
in air
real.
quotes.
Yeah.
Red Bulls are in Harrison, New Jersey.
Yeah, it's artificial. I mean, like it's just fun. FC Cincinnati getting to play AFC Cleveland at AFC Cleveland Stadium. They turn out with, they pack this tiny little stadium with thousands of people to watch this game. Like, that's fun. I mean, you get Reading United AC playing against the New York Cosmos, one of the storied clubs in the United States. I know they've gone through a lot of financial trouble and they're playing in the second division, but like, when does Reading United AC, some American club in the PDL, knock off the New York Cosmos 3-2 anywhere else? Like, it's stuff like that, like it's fun. The natural rivalries make it great. And I think that it really shows soccer culture because you get a team like AFC Cleveland, who they might lose, but their fans come out and just in droves to see them play. And it's fun. I mean, you think of the Detroit Cities, you think of Chattanooga, even a little bit of this is developing from what I've seen on social media with a club like the Milwaukee Torrent. I know Baltimore has some popular amateur sides. I mean, they're all over the place. And like, I think it's fun. Also, I want to give one particular shout out, Chicago FC United, which is a PDL team. They're sort of affiliated with the Fire. They beat the Pittsburgh Riverhounds 3-1 in Pittsburgh in this round. That's big. Funky name. Fun team to watch. So I'll be watching out for them. But like, I don't know. I like the natural rivalries, the actual ones that exist. When you get a team like Tulsa playing the OKC Energy, or you get, Colorado Springs playing FC Tucson. Like, I feel like we miss out on that a lot at the top flight of American soccer because it's all about the market. What's the next best market? It's like sometimes you don't got to reinvent the wheel with it. So I don't know. I love the Golden Cup because I think it's fun. I really do think it's fun. And like, it just really represents what I think American soccer culture should embody. One of the aspects of it.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think the soccer culture point is really important because when even a USL team comes to town, if you're a PDL or NPSL side, and like this is your excuse to kind of get your fans out and show everyone what you're all about. And like, you used AFC Cleveland as an example. I think that's a great example. And you see all kinds of situations where like people who are maybe casual American soccer fans, get a chance to see what the atmosphere is like at these local clubs. And, a lot of people don't go out and support their local club. I mean, my thing is always like, if we can get everyone who tunes in to watch Arsenal or Spurs or Manchester United on a Saturday out to support their local club, wherever that is, American soccer within 10 years will become one of the biggest league structures in the world instantly. Like, it will happen. And, when people wake up and see that there's awesome soccer culture, reasonably fun to watch soccer in their backyard, when they see, their local club, be it in Cleveland, Detroit, those are two great examples. But even like Milwaukee, Reed and I, that show will hopefully be out soon, going to Milwaukee a couple weeks back. When people see that, they want to be a part of that. They want to be out there singing the songs and waving the scarves and cheering on their team, even if their team isn't in MLS. It's just that people may or may not be aware of that exists, that the diehard ultras that they see in England or Germany or Spain on their TV sets exist in the U.S. So I think the U.S. Open Cup is a great chance to kind of, if you're reasonably paying attention to American soccer, especially as we get to the point where the MLS clubs start to come in, it's a great chance and a great excuse to check out what's going on at your local club. And I sound like I'm a total broken record ad man at the moment, but to all our listeners, if you're not supporting your local club in America, if you're American, please do.
No, I think you
really
see it. Yeah, and I think a good example of this, right, and it's kind of a weird way to draw on it, is like minor league baseball. Some of the best baseball cities and the best atmospheres for baseball stadiums don't come from major league teams like fucking the Padres. Who cares? No one cares about the Padres in San Diego, but a team like in Charleston, the River Dogs, their AA team that is owned by Bill Murray, like they pack the stadium, 5,000-6,000 people. It's fun. It gets people out. It's cheap to go to. Like it's the same thing. You can embrace. People should embrace and can embrace, and hopefully will start to embrace like their local club like that. Because I mean, I guarantee that people that are going to Charleston River Dog games don't know everybody on that team, but they know that they're going and they're having a good time and it's good for the city. And I think that like having popular, things where people can feel united about something, I think that's good for the city. So I definitely do think that people should get out there.
So that's a good point. And like these teams are a big things for communities. And like sometimes there's, I think, maybe a misguided notion that like if you don't know all the players and know the tactics and like know every song, you're not a true fan. And like that might not make you an ultra, and that might not make you someone who is inclined to sit in the supporters group every week. But like that in no way means you can't go to games, and that by no means means that you can't go buy a beer, sit back, watch some decent soccer, and like root on the team representing your city that you were born in. So, hopefully that what you talked about, which I think is very true with minor league baseball, coming from an area on the East Coast where we have a lot of minor league teams. I mean, it's a way to be proud of your community and express that. And I think soccer is a great means of that. Again, we sound like such shills for the U.S. Open Cup here, but
oh, absolutely. U.S. Soccer, if you're listening, this could be the official podcast of U.S. Soccer.
The U.S. Open Cup, a better way to cook. But in talking about like, I think a big thing for how to like get soccer, especially at the non-league or local smaller levels, is thinking about branding and like how you market it to people where you don't, to reach beyond just like the diehard soccer fans. Because like there are only so many people like you and me, Jack, out there at the moment anyway.
They'll get there one day.
We can only hope. But in the meantime, like, how do you get people who are like families or maybe their kids play in like a youth soccer league, but they're not like, watching MLS. They don't have MLS Live to watch their team every weekend like we do. How do you get them out to games? And like, I think that centering it around like being your community and your team for your city is a great way of doing that. So, if you haven't yet, go check out your local club. Again, I'm going to be annoying about this, but I really do. It really does make a difference, I think, if people who watch, especially European leagues, begin to support, especially like, from USL on down in the US, like you'll see instant growth.
Yeah, no, most definitely. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, there is some news out of England that Andrew and I would like to discuss because you can never have, too much discussion about retrospective discipline and video assistant referee. So until then, enjoy the music. We're going to talk about this retrospective thing.
Love it.
Just briefly, and then we're going to have a culture section, and we're going to talk about the man romper.
The what?
The rompers for men.
Oh, my God. Wait, no, you know what we should talk about? Which EPL player we most want to see in a man romper.
Yes.
That's going to be what comes up.
Yes.
Love it. That sounds great.
Okay, cool.
You might have to edit me out being repetitive in that last segment, but
No, it was
that
good.
was fun. That was fun.
Okay. All right, we're back in 4, 3. Welcome back to part 2 of the show, everybody. As I mentioned, some news came out on Thursday from the Football Association across the pond in England. We couldn't make it a whole show without talking about England. Come on now. The FA have confirmed that they will retrospectively punish players for simulation starting next season. So what's this mean? Well, let's say you're Harry Kane or Leroy Sané. I'm going to go to Harry Kane, who dove in the North London Derby, got a penalty. Retrospective. No, I'm just kidding. Let's say you're Leroy Sané, and every single time somebody comes close to you, you fall on the ground. Starting next season, you being Leroy Sané, could face suspension, yellow cards, bookings, punishment for simulation in a match. This is a big step, and this is a statement from the FA in a lot of ways, I think, about really wanting to crack down on diving and them thinking that the game is being hurt by it. So I guess I'd love to get your thoughts on this, Andrew. Do you think that this will prevent players from diving?
No, it's not going to. I mean, at least not in the very short term. I think that what it will probably be effective at is potentially curbing long-term behavior where you see it like if you're in a match and you're, we'll pick on poor Leroy Sané. If you're going to go down to the box easy, you're not going to like in the interim think about, oh man, is the FA going to fine me? Like, no, you're just going to do it. But I think that like as teams start to get hurt by it, they're going to go to their guys and say, okay, lads, like, we're going to start to, don't do it. We're going to start to have you guys think twice about simulation or just even, when you go down in the box or whatnot. And when the teams start to take the message to heart and start having those conversations with the guys, saying, don't do this, that's when you'll start to see, I think, more long-term change. I don't know that change will come next season because there's a lot, MLS has proven, because they have done this for a couple of years now, that there are kinks in the system.
This is
and
true.
Sometimes, like, you'll see a guy get suspended a game for diving, and then you'll see a guy get fined for a really bad tackle, but not suspended, and you're like, well, does the punishment equal the crimes? So I'm confident, because the FA is generally more competent than MLS, that they'll get it right. But
let's not give them too much credit.
Well, it's a pretty low bar. I'll be interested to see how it turns out. I will be screaming mad the first time Dele Alli gets fined for simulation, but I'm a homer. So,
do you think that this is something that video assisted referees should be able to use? Maybe not like in midfield, but if it's in the box and referee awards a penalty, is this something that you think they should be able to look at to see if it was an actual foul? I'm not sure if that is part of the stipulations for having VAR, but I personally think it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense, and just like that I think will honestly be the most effective way to crack down on it, is when guys know that it's not going to work. Because even if a fine or suspension's coming, but in that moment you win your team a game by getting that penalty in the 88th minute, like you're still going to bite the bullet and do it. It's when it becomes clear that simulation is no longer there's no longer this larger reward, that the referee will be duped by it, that I think you'll see guys stop and shy away from it. So I think it's a decent idea. But Jack, what do you think? Is this a positive step forward?
You see, like, I'm still on the fence, right? Like, when when Alexis dives in the box and gets the call, I'm totally okay with it because I'm all about gamesmanship. When Harry Kane does it to Arsenal, I am infuriated. And
I'm the same way, to be fair. That's just what a fan is. You know?
I think that diving has, in a lot of ways, hurt football. I think many fans of El Tri would agree with me. I don't know. I like it. If it means Leroy Sané is going to get fined or suspended for when he has to play Arsenal because he dove against Brighton, I'm okay with it. And I think, you talked about it. Is it going to have an instant impact on cracking down and preventing the number of dives? Probably not. But, nothing ever comes simple. Nothing ever comes quickly like that. I'm big on the concept.
Non-soccer.
Especially non-soccer. I'm big on the concept of culture building, right? You can do it with anything. Building soccer culture in the States, building, inclusive culture amongst fans. And I think, building a winning culture in a locker room, building a terrible culture like they have in Millwall. I think you build culture among players as well. And I think that this is a good step to try to build that culture of, I'm not going to call it anti-diving, but maybe encouraging players not to dive. And I know a lot of the time, we see it often. Players are punished because they get fouled in the box and they don't go down, and they don't get it called. But ultimately, I think that's what you'd rather have than, an Arjen Robben going to ground easily and Mexico getting knocked out of the World Cup. Or, I'm trying to think of the best example of this. Antoine Griezmann going to ground really easily outside the box against Leicester, getting the penalty. That wasn't a penalty, scoring, and then ended up, being the deciding goal. Not to say that Athletic would have gotten it, but it was the deciding goal, after all, in that tie.
Thinking about, so I'm in a household of non-soccer fans. I'm the lone soccer fan. And, amongst people who don't watch a lot of soccer, what gets mocked about the sport the most is the diving and the exuberant Spanish announcers, but mainly the diving.
Goal, goal, goal.
Dive, dive, dive. But yeah, I mean, seriously, that's what people make fun of. And maybe, I don't know that getting rid of diving is going to actually make more people watch soccer, but it will certainly make the product a lot better. And watching this, the Women's World Cup last year, and in women's football, there's very little diving. Take from that what you will about the differences between genders. But it was, and it's not quite as polished a product as potentially sometimes on the men's side, but it was a lot more watchable. The game flowed a lot better, I didn't feel dirty at the end of 90 minutes, especially if Dele Alli dives and gets a penalty, So it will cleaning up that even just a bit, even if it's marginal, I think will help EPL.
Every little bit counts. All right, guys, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about one thing that we don't make fun of unless Reed is wearing it. So stick around.
You don't know how much I'd pay to see Reed in a male romper.
We're going to have to take this to the Twitter.
Yeah, do a Twitter poll. Which point to the spot member do you most want to see in a romper? Reed Hammond, or Reed Hammond. Because I ain't wearing one.
We'll do Reed, Dino, Hammondinho.
Love it.
Yes. I don't know. I'm indifferent about them. I don't care what people wear. But I think it's gonna be really funny when we talk about which Premier League player we'd like to see in a romper most.
This is gonna be great. I'm so excited.
You want to bring it back? You want me to bring it
back? I can bring it back.
You bring it back.
We're going back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the show, everybody. As we enter the fashion week of Point to the Spot. I don't know much about fashion. My girlfriend does. Shout out to her. I don't know anything about fashion. But what I do know, because I've gone on Twitter in the past week, is that the man romper is the new item for summer. Jack, do you have a man romper in your closet?
I can't say I do. I'm thinking of investing.
It'd be a good look for you. And we do not make fun of the men who do choose to partake in male rompers. I don't know what the official name is.
Rompers for men.
Rompers for men. We do not mock. We everyone should wear what they want and be proud of it. I'm sure a lot of people probably look a lot better in male rompers than I look at my Wisconsin hockey T-shirt and shorts right now. So no mocking. But Jack, I think that this does lend itself to an interesting segment, and we're going to call it: which Premier League player would you most like to see in a male romper? I think we all know which point to the spot member we would most want to see in a male romper, and that's Reed Hammond.
Oh, yes,
I'm not just saying that because he's not here right now. So if you want to see Reed in a male romper, which we can't really show you on the show, but I'm sure we'll post pictures.
Special video pod.
Yeah, special video pod. Go to our Twitter, @Point to the Spot, with the numeral 2. Vote for Reed. And stuff that ballot box for Reed Hammond and the male romper. But in the meantime, Jack, which Premier League player would you like to see sporting this must-have fashion item?
Reed Hammond, a better way to cook.
In a male romper.
Okay. A man romper immediately came to mind as an NBA player would be Russell Westbrook.
Well, you know he'd do it.
Oh, most definitely.
His press conference wearing it.
Oh, most definitely. A Premier League player that I'd like to most see in a romper. Wayne Rooney.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was Wayne Rooney.
Wayne Rooney.
You know, he's like a passenger on the pitch anyway, you know, most of the game. So like, yeah, I feel like in the 75th minute, you just dip off, throw it on. As long as it's a Chevy logo on it, like, you know, the sponsors aren't going to care.
I think actually the Premier League player I'd like to see in a romper the most would be one Mark Noble of West Ham United.
Maybe he can wear it to celebrate his England call-up. That's never going to come.
Hey, wait till Big Sam is manager again.
And he's probably going to get fired in 2 more weeks for something.
Who would you like to see, Andrew?
Oh, there's so many great options available. Like, you know, you could go for someone like Lukaku, busting out of one with like ripped muscles.
You could go for an Ollie Giroud. He would just look good.
Yeah, he'd just be modeling that. You know, he's going to be on the runway in Fashion Week in Paris and that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know it's happening.
Oh, he's running for president one day.
Well, that's true.
Make Maybe France beautiful again.
After he wins the presidential bid, when he sports it. Jamie Vardy, just for the lulz.
Oh, my God, yes.
Because I do not like Jamie Vardy, because we're anti-racism on this pod. Yeah. If we're going for which current or former Spurs player I'd most like to see one, that is without a doubt Nasser Chadley.
Oh my goodness gracious. That would be wonderful.
I think that, I don't know, maybe one of us, now that we're on break and have a lot of time to do Photoshop, maybe we can make our Twitter followers' dreams, hopes and dreams come true by making one of these happen.
I think Arsene Wenger in a romper with a zipper that he can't fix would be hysterical.
That pretty much embodies him managing Arsenal right now.
Yes, it does.
That's a great metaphor, actually.
Hey, they've won 7 of 8.
This is true. Are they going to get Europe?
Ask me on Sunday about 11 o'clock Central Time. I'll let you know.
I hope you guys are looking forward to the Europa League, though.
I'm not even going to fucking watch the Arsenal game. Right to the Liverpool game.
Watch them play Borough.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, Brad Guzan's sticking around, though. Maybe he'll come up big for you guys.
That's true. I mean, last year, I didn't watch Arsenal on the final day of the season. I watched one Newcastle United.
Yeah, we saw how that turned out.
So I'm hoping to keep this.
That's why Spurs sucked on the last day. The truth comes out, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyways, guys, that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you all very much for listening. Of course, we will be back on Sunday. The Premier League will sadly be over. We'll talk about it. We'll mourn Arsenal's 5th place finish. Or I might not be able to be there because I'll be out celebrating. But have no fear. Point at the Spot's not going away. We will be with you all summer to talk transfers, rumors, as well as American soccer, USL, NASL, MPSL, PDL, USASA, Maryland Major League Soccer, you name it. We'll talk about it. Of course, guys, make sure that you're following us all on Twitter. You can find the absent Reed Hammond at Soccer Save Us. Andrew, where can they find you on the social, as Reed would like to refer to it?
At Andrew Ball, BAHL.
Of course, guys, you can find me at Jack Kelly. I am actually Jack Kelly after all. Make sure you're following the show at Point to the Spot with the number 2. Tweet us your thoughts and topics that you want us to talk about it. We really like to engage with pretty much each and every one of you that tweet at us on Twitter. Also, if you enjoy the show and you want to help us out, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Helps the attention get more. Helps the show get a little bit more attention. Makes us feel nice inside. If you don't like the show, leave us a 1-star on iTunes. We'd love to hear your feedback. Either way,
if you want more discussion of Roppers, you can leave that in the review. It probably won't happen.
Either way, we'd like to know your thoughts about the show. Of course, we're trying to grow the Point to the Spot family. Point to the Spot Summit 2K17 Part 3 will be taking place in the nation's capital this year. When? We don't know. How are we going to get there? Also don't know. Is there going to be football? Or is there going to be a live pod? Are we going to sell live? Are we going to sell tickets? Probably not that part, but the other things are true. So yeah, that's all I got for today's show. Make sure to check out our partners at American EPL. You can find them online at AmericanEPLthoughts.com. If us talking didn't get done for you, you can go check out what Travis and the rest of the bunch over there are doing. Doing great work. For now, that's all the time that we had. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great weekend.